Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's MMO Champions League of Champions Cup. This is a single elimination, €500 winner-takes-all competition. And we're going to be kicking off with game number 1 very, very shortly. Moscow 5 going to be taking on Curse.EU, and this is a best-of-1 game. If they manage to make it through to the semi-final, which will be the next round, then it's going to become best-of-3. Let's take a look at the game lobby. We can see all 10 players are in the game right now. Metuz, it's been a little bit of a wait, but hopefully we should be going live soon.
Yeah, you have to hope that all the waiting, the delays have been worth it here. As I think now Anguish is saying they have technical problems, so we are going to have another minute delay, it would appear.
Well, we are ready to go. Casters are all up and running. And to everybody that's joined the stream and the chat, thank you for stopping by. This is brought to you by MMOChampions.fr. If you head over to, you can see the web portal. Unfortunately, the tournament bracket is not 100% up to date. AAA were forced to drop out, so we're going to be using the Interlol tournament bracket, and I think the champion selection process has just started. So let's see what we're gonna see from bans and picks. Metuz, did you manage to watch any of the MLG event over the last weekend?
I caught bits and pieces, to be honest, but I was very, very busy, so I haven't quite managed to do my my catch-up viewing there of the VODs. But right back at you, did you manage to catch much?
Sadly not, sadly not. I only got my internet connection installed on Tuesday, so I missed all of it. And exactly the same boat. I haven't been able to catch up on the games, but I heard that CLG Black, or in the North American lineup, played some quite unconventional champions. And there you go, for example, Kale being banned out now. I'd heard that, I can't remember who's playing top line for CLG, but apparently they were doing very, very well with Kale, solo top.
I think Dyrus was playing Kale as well. Or TSM did very well.
So it's interesting to see. I mean, that is quite possibly the first Kale ban I have ever seen in professional League of Legends. And it's nice to see some changes coming out from the meta.
Good. Innovation is kind of what Moscow 5 is synonymous with. I mean, they had the AD cannon at Kiev, I remember, coming out. A lot of people were turning their heads at that one. It seems to have stuck by and large. So yeah, I mean, Kale, why not? She's very, very strong from what I saw from Dyrus at that top lane. So yeah, it's going to be reflected here. She is eliminated alongside Nocturne, which is more of a standard ban that you'd see time and time again.
And of course, removing Lee Sin, so that's one target for Diamond Prox, taking away his jungler, and removing Darian Shen. Every time I've seen Darian get Shen, Moscow 5 have won the game. It's just that simple. Darian is so powerful on Shen. And interestingly, seeing a Twisted Fate ban. Now, I haven't seen Alexic actually playing TF. Yeah, just removing it from the pool. So maybe Alex has been playing that in solo queue or pretty often, frequently. Recently, rather.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to agree with you. I've not really seen Alex play a lot of TF. He plays a lot of quote-unquote unconventional characters in mid. I remember seeing him play a really mean Tryndamere in mid lane, but never seen him picking up that Twisted Fate. So quite an interesting ban coming out. On the flip side, we are going to see Urgot getting taken out there from Moscow 5, and again, that's fairly standard.
Yeah, and of course, with the first pick sitting with Curse.EU at the moment, it makes sense not to leave Urgot in the pool. Whether or not they would have liked to have played that tanky DPS, and taken it away from Genja, for example, maybe we'll have to see. But Curse at the moment, looking at Nautilus, thinking about the Diver Man, and he does get locked in. So a slight change from seeing the insta-lock support, and you consider every single support's available. Janna's there, Soraka's there. For at least the last couple of weeks, that's been the preferred first pick. And are we going to see a Skarner?
Absolutely. I mean, as you say, all the supports are still up and running. In your opinion, though, quick shot, do you think they're going to be playing Nautilus in jungle? That's what I'm expecting to see here. Yeah, it's most probably going to be that. And,
unless they really try to pull out something off the wall here, I don't think we'll see anything too extreme. It would be awesome to see him in the lane, though. AP Nautilus scales really hard. Well, not really hard, but he scales really well once you get several AP items, because every one of his abilities scale off AP. But we hovering on Skarner for a while, and I'd love to see Diamond Prox playing Skarner. He was a little bit of I flirted with him being my main for a little while, and it is going to get locked in. So the Crystalline Scorpion in the hands of Diamond Prox, this should be an interesting one.
Wow, man, I have not seen Skarner in a long time. I remember going back, he used to get picked a lot, and then he got hit fairly hard with a nerf hammer. and since then I've not seen him featured a single time. So Diamond rocking out the Skarner, who would have thought it?
Yeah, I love it, and I absolutely love the voice effect that "Get over here!" Wanna be Scorpion? It's a big fan. It's a big fan. Gosu Pepper's locked in his Nunu, so not even gonna need to swap that one around. That's gonna help out. And I wonder who they're gonna take as their AD carry, because of course the aggressive Nunu, Blood Boil, and Ice Blast. It's very, very powerful and pretty cool. So I like the aggressive champions on Moscow 5 side already.
Well, I mean, I know that Genja loves to play himself with Corki, seen it time and time again. Having said that though, Nunu and Kog'Maw very, very strong together at bot lane, and Kog'Maw hasn't been banned here. So there's a couple of options open for Moscow 5. They are going to be facing off against Zinok and Slepper at bot lane with Soraka and Graves. So it's going to be interesting to see what they pick up here.
That's a fairly defensive bottom line as well. Every time I see Soraka Graves, unless the non-sustain lane of Nunu plus whatever carries takes too much damage, then it's fairly passive, fairly boring until a BF sword has been picked up or that pickaxe and the Doran's blades, because Graves really needs that additional attack damage before his burst is high enough to actually pick up a kill, especially when you consider Soraka doesn't offer a whole lot in the way of damage or debuff really when it comes to picking up kills.
Yeah, she obviously does hand over a fair amount of mana and that heal as well, which will give Graves a nice addition to the armor, which he gets with True Grit as well as passive, of course. So very tanky bot lane, as you said before. But still, we're waiting to see what Genja's going to pick here. I mean, from your perspective, quick shot, what would you like to see getting, taken from Moscow 5?
Well, taking a look at the champions that they've got right now, I'd love to see an Ashe being thrown in there. And the reason I like the idea of the Ashe, the Crystal Arrow into the Impale is going to guarantee, at least one person being removed. Alternatively, Crystal Arrow, blow the target up that gets hit with that, followed up by a Blood Boil, Impale Skarner, for example, could also then, really secure a great initiation for a team fight. At the moment, in terms of initiators, you've got Aurelia, which is, very, very aggressive, very good initiator, able to tank a lot of damage and mitigate a lot of that crowd control complements of her passive. But there's no hard initiation. You don't have a Crystal Arrow, you don't have a Morgana Dark Binding or a Nautilus Dredge Line or Depth Charge. They all have to be very, very close. They all have to be very in and amongst everybody. And I think if we see a Galio being locked in, then that's going to be our hard initiation. And that's maybe what Moscow 5 are thinking about. We're just going to have to see who Darian's going to lock in on behalf of Alexic.
Yeah, I mean, Galio would be a very, very nice pick here, especially against Ahri as well, of course. And on the flip side, you can actually have Maluno picking up the Jax. I'm expecting to see Jax at the top lane and Nautilus in the jungle. But yeah, it's all down to Darian now. What's he going to be picking up for Alex? We've both said Galio would be a nice pick, but they do definitely need a hard engage. I fully agree with you on that one. They need to give the likes of Skarner an opportunity to jump in there and impale, and Corki to fly in with Valkyrie, pop off the Gatling gun, and just lay down some serious pain.
So let's see, we have 25 seconds on the clock. I'm quite excited to see this Jax locked in, actually, because for the last 2 or 3 weeks, for the last couple of cups that I have casted him and involved in, Jax has been one of the first pick, first ban type of champions. He's seen a lot of time in that banning pool, and maybe we're going to go for a Karthus here for Alexic, possibly Kennen. So let's see who this last lock-in is actually going to be, and it looks like it's going to be Kennen, in fact. So not who we were thinking about, and a fairly close-range team from Moscow 5, but we got, a little bit of synergies. You've obviously got the absolute zero from Nunu in conjunction with the slicing Maelstrom. You've then got the sort of the single target focus that Irelia and Skarner can put down, but you've also got a fair amount of AoE damage. The lightning rush from Kennen, all of the rockets, the Gatling gun, phosphorus bomb from Corki, the transcendent blades, and of course Nunu's absolute zero is huge AoE, but slightly unconventional in its combination.
Yeah, but I mean, Kennen does have the flash, so obviously, if he sees the time is right for taking, he's just gonna flash in with the slicing maelstrom, try to stun down, get as much AoE damage as possible. Then you can see the rest of his team just pushing on in there. It's starting to make more and more sense here, quick shot, the more I think about it, with actually Skarner in the mix here. So you're gonna have slicing maelstrom getting popped off. Everyone's gonna be running around like crazy, trying to make sure they don't get burst down, and then Skarner can just pick up the AD, can just take Graves and basically nuke him down with the rest of the team. So I'm really liking this comp from Moscow 5.
Looks very strong. It is going to be up to Jackson Nautilus to defend Graves, because Ari's, extinct. He's going to be able to use that Spirit Rush of his to jump around the map or jump around the lanes and try to stay alive as long as possible. But if they're not able to put up a bit of a meat shield or some form of count, some form of defense, they're going to be able to jump straight onto Graves, exactly like you mentioned. And of course, I was just looking at the champion selection. Having a Soraka on the lineup would have been that Infuse is going to cancel the Idol of Durand. So maybe Moscow 5 going, we don't want to have our initiation ultimate immediately cancel compliments of one silence.
Fully agree, and it would, if Galio was in there, it would have to have been pixel perfect ultimates. Or as you say, you have obviously the depth charge as well from Nautilus that can come in. Ari can charm if she can land that one off. Jax can also jump in with his counter strike. So there's a couple of ways that could actually stop that Galio ultimate if it wasn't complete pristine positioning. So it makes sense they wouldn't go with him. I would have liked a Karthus pick as well, actually. They were kind of teetering around the idea of picking up Karthus and Alex. I know he's a very, very strong Karthus player, and that Wall of Pain could have actually opened up a lot of opportunities for them.
So we do have the champions now locked in. Have you been poking around the rune pages at all? Take a look at Gosu Pepper's Nunu, sitting with just flat armor, flat MR, and GP10. So really, really defensive, and I like the armor stack coming up against the Graves. It makes a lot of sense to do so.
Definitely. That's awesome rune page right there. He's going to be so tanky. And also with Absolute Zero, he does have to put himself in harm's way. He's going to be standing still a long period of time, and a lot of people are just going to be trying to nuke him right out of the equation. So it makes sense that he's going to be going flat armor, flat magic resistance, and the goal per 10 is pretty self-explanatory. It's going towards his warding kind of pool. So it makes a lot of sense, and really nice play there against Graves.
Taking a look at Maluno's rune page, 24 MR, 4.5% move speed, 15% attack speed, and 13 armor. So really going to be trying to get that Titan's Wrath, that W ability, getting those attacks over and over and over, getting them out as quickly as you can. So we're into the last minute before we get the game starting. You can see that the stream is coming up as quickly as possible, guys. I do need to throw up a very short advert break, and when we are back, it will be live with Curse.EU taking on Moscow 5. Alright, adverts are running in the background. Not everybody gets them though. So we do need to talk to the few odd people that still stick around. And chat was asking for Alexich's rune page. And he's running health, MR, a magic pen, and ability power. So nothing out of the ordinary. Health on yellows instead of maybe energy or MR, which I tend to run on my cannon. But health makes sense. And Metuz, we have to do the customary skin vote, or skin war, because the skins, of course, determine who has the most power in the game.
Oh, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. And then you'd expect to see, I'm just going to throw out 7 or 8 skins, I reckon we're going to see. Don't know who to. I haven't even got into the loading screen. Oh, there we go. So it looks like we have 3 skins on Moscow 5, and you're going to have 4 on
well played. 7 or 8. You hit it on the head.
Yep.
Now we do have to ask, Temple Jax and Mafia Graves and Abyssal Nautilus, do they defeat Nunubot? Oh, Midnight Ari's there as well. I don't know. I think the epicness of Nunubot and Frostblade Aurelia is pretty cool, but where would you put your money if you had to pick based on skins?
I don't know, man. I do love me a Mafia Graves. I've got to be honest with you, just looks kick-ass. So I'm probably going to go alongside the Graves there. So Curse.EU.
Well, so be it. Skin War has determined it, guys. You have heard it. Curse.EU based on skins. Now I want to know from chat. Throw it up on chat, guys. Who do you think is going to be victorious this time around? Cursed or Moscow 5? And we are live. I wonder if we're going to see an invade. We haven't seen too many aggressive invades, and the risk isn't always worthwhile, Give up 1 or 2 kills early, and that's it. You pretty much seal the deal for the first 10 or 12 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to think, is the risk worth it? And a lot of teams will kind of just do this dance where all 5 players will just be in the opposite bushes. Nothing will really happen. Obviously, Cannon's going to be able to poke time and time again with that Shuriken his Q. But I'm going to be surprised if we do see an all-out 5v5 kicking off here.
Yeah, neither team really has a super powerful level 1. I mean, very, very nice charm. Alexich is going to take a buckshot, forced to flash away. But wow, what a great charm from Extinct. That was at almost max range. Just pulling Alexich forward. and burning his flash in the first minutes of the game.
That's huge right there. What's Alex actually gone for in his first ability? Let's have a quick look. He has gone for the Shuriken, of course, so he doesn't have the Lightning Rush, and that's going to give Nautilus right here a kind of sniff at a possible gank for the first few minutes, because he knows that if he catches Alex out of position, there's no flash and they can secure that first blood.
And there's a lot of I want to say guaranteed CC. You know, if Maluno is able to get up in range of Alexich, he's going to be able to put either that auto attack snare down or the dredge line. I think that's a stun actually on the dredge line. And that will lead into a charm, which will lead into Orb of Deception. You know, there's a lot of damage that can be put down, but what Curse don't know is that this blue buff is, or the blue is warded. Oh, now we're going to see Alexich run straight into them. There goes the exhaust. There's the auto attack stun I was talking about, into the charm. No flash available, and First Blood goes very, very easily to Extinct. While that's going on, we see Genja and Slepper taking one another on Extincts. Slepper has used his Ignite. Dredgeline is not available. Riptide is there. There goes the stun. That anchor too huge. And while all that fight is going on, Diamond Prox was trying to pick up a kill onto Zinnik, but it just wasn't enough. Now they've turned the tide. Moscow 5 committing to this one. Slepper's now a little bit out of position. Oh, flashes into the wall. Fail flash from Diamond Prox. Okay, I'm going to rewind that fail flash. That was awesome. So just as we say, not a lot of aggression. They have a full-on 5-on-5 engage.
Well, it just goes to show the curse of the commentator, well and truly living it up large, but a lot of flashes burnt there actually, quick shot. I think that was 4 or 5 flashes exchanged from both teams, and that first blood onto Kennen. Diamond Prox and Maluno are going to come head to head, but Diamond Prox did pick up that blue and does have a level advantage over Maluno. Here comes Kennen, so we could have a 2v2 kicking off here. Charm comes out, does miss though onto Diamond Prox, who doesn't seem to care a great deal. Going to be pushing forward, now deciding to pull themselves back as the kill wasn't on, but still very nice harassment coming out from Moscow 5.
Great play so far. Lots of aggression, and this is what we like to see. I love watching games like this, and obviously all the aggression hasn't only led to the single kill. So great play, but let's take a look. You mentioned it, Flash on Moscow 5. Darien is the only champion with Flash available, and on the flip side, Anguish and Extinct the only ones sitting with their flashes as well. So Moscow 5 a little bit on the back foot if Maluno decides to gank, and if Maluno decides to come in with that dredge line.
Yeah, definitely. As you say, I mean, there's just so much opportunities for both junglers here. Both of them aren't exactly the quickest in the jungle. Maluno's actually still level 1, whereas Skarner's plowing through level 3. Maluno is going to get a leash from Extinct on Ari for his blue, so he is way behind on levels in terms of the jungle battle right now, and that's going to give Skarner, it's going to give Diamond Prox the opportunity to actually gank a tiny bit earlier if he so chooses.
Well, all of the aggression that's come out, even though he is a little bit behind, he does have that single assist. So take a look at his itemization already. With that assist on First Blood, he was able to pick up that Fairy Charm and a ward. So that's going to help him out just a little bit in terms of mana. And exactly like you mentioned, Nautilus is a little bit of a slow jungler. He really needs some levels, you know, putting some points into that Titan's Wrath and 1 or 2, you know, points into his Riptide to be able to clear out those camps effectively. And we'll see if that 2.5 level advantage is going to play into Diamond Prox's favor, especially when we know he's an aggressive jungler. We know he likes to invade and try to play quite a gank heavy type of game. So I like what Curse have done so far, trying to remove that style or counter the style by being even more aggressive themselves.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Skarner is kind of, well, Diamond Prox, I should say, is so aggressive in the opposition jungle. And being ahead as he is right now on levels, it's going to give him the upper hand. Having said that, though, Maluno is just kind of lurking around the river onto Alex. And, of course, the flash is just about to come off cooldown. So Maluno probably going to wait there for another 10-20 seconds. Not too much is going to happen, though.
Yeah, as soon as he steps out, Alexich immediately throws on that Lightning Rush and dashes away to safety. Diamond Prox is looking up in the top lane towards Anguish. Anguish, of course, returning to the team. Young Buck was... Oh, we do see Equilibrium Strike. That's going to hold him in place for a few seconds. It's short-ish cooldown, so if they were going to push again, they would have been able to do so. But Young Buck was removed from the lineup after MLG. And this is the first time Anguish is now back. We see once again the aggression going on. Counter-attack used. Ignite has been thrown as well. Flash forward, and Anguish just not able to get that last auto attack. Now Diamond Prox has come in. He has the red buff available, and there's a huge wave of creeps here, which Anguish is going to lose. He's trying to get a leap strike in power forward. The kill actually goes to Darien, And look at the amount of creeps and golden experience which Anguish is now going to lose. This is massive.
Definitely, and he burnt his flash to try and secure the kill onto Darian. So his only real escape, because he had no mana remaining, was that flash. He used it to try and pick up the kill, and in turn got himself taken out from Diamond Box. So unfortunate there from Anguish, but he is going to be going back towards spawn, going to be rejoining his lane. But as you say, he's quite far behind.
There's pressure on the bottom line. Genja manages to Valkyrie forward, eats a phosphorus bomb into the face of Slepper. Now Zinnik is actually putting some damage down onto Gosu Pepper and Genja. That Infuse and Banana is a little bit too strong. So they do pick up a kill on the bottom line, and Moscow 5 take the kill lead there.
Yeah, great stuff for Corki. Currently has the cloth armor and also Doran's Blade alongside Boots of Speed. How is he putting his abilities out so far? Has 2 points in Gatling Gun, 2 in Phosphorus Bomb, and just the 1 in Valkyrie. So again, we saw Molino in mid, quick shot, but nothing really happening for him. And
I like that you mentioned the double points into Gatling Gun. It's a little bit strange for Corkies. They do tend to level their Phosphorus Bombs first. But look at the lane that they're against. You mentioned it in the load up. You've got the True Grid passive from Slepper, and you've got the armor buff which comes out from Astral Blessing. 65 armor for 5 seconds. That is a huge, huge, huge buff. So that Gatling Cannon, ranking it up to reduce the armor a little bit more effectively in greater numbers and just try to mitigate some of that defensibility. That's not a word, isn't it?
It should be. If it's not, it should be.
Right, so here we're inventing words. Defensibility with quick shot and Metuz. I'm ruining your language, Metuz. I'm ruining it.
It's all good, man. As I said, it should be a word if it's not. And yeah, I mean, you're spot on. Corki obviously realizing the threat there of the huge armor buff, especially at this stage of the game. That is absolutely phenomenal. So he's going to be trying to cut that down with his Gatling gun, but they need to be careful because Nautilus is starting to catch up onto Skarner, and he's going to play more of an active role in this game. Currently on the golems, but he's going to push himself back up towards Wraiths.
And take a look at the abilities now on Extinct in the middle. Playing Uri, he's put 3 points into his Foxfire, and only 2 points into the Orb of Deception, so it's definitely, it's a build that I've seen before. I've played quite a lot of Uri myself. And you tend to play that Foxfire when you want the almost guaranteed poke. And I use that word very, very loosely. Because you need to position yourself really effectively, get out of range of the creeps. And put yourself a little bit between the creeps and the enemies. And then, of course, you've got that one. We do see a fight going down on the top line. Even with all of that pressure, Anguish is a level ahead. He takes he blades to the face, followed by the Equilibrium Strike. Now he's used the ultimate. There comes the Impale from Diamond Prox. Feel my sting, and a great Leap Strike away. Anguish is trying to get away, but those Crystal Slash is just too strong. But it took him a long time to pick up that kill.
Man, you said this before, the voice acting on Skarner is awesome. And
Yeah.
all I heard then was, "Now I've got you." And he was just dead. It's that simple. You were dead, dude.
You were dead, dude. I like that. This sounds like a line from Dude, Where's My Car? And we see an aggressive invade now. Diamond Prox moving forward. Darian stepping in as well. But a level 5 Maluno to a level 7 Diamond Prox on those little creeps. There goes the Equilibrium Strike to Maluno's face. Darian with that hit and style putting so much damage onto Maluno. Was thinking about using the Blade Surge, but unfortunately it was on cooldown. And Diamond Prox just casually steals the blue buff.
Yeah, and you're actually going to have Arian putting 4 points into hit and style. So basic attacks restore 11 health, and if she activates it, they do 60 additional. In fact, all that thought for a second, there's a thought you're going to have some confrontation at bot lane, but Graves and Straka will be pulling themselves back as Nunu rejoins the fight with Corki.
Now, I'm taking a look at Extinct at the moment. He's sitting with a KG's lucky pick. I used to call it Kage's lucky pick, but I've been told it's meant to be KG from the Pick of Destiny, Tenacious D film. So that's what I'm calling it. And I casted a couple of North American teams over the course of the last week. And I can't remember who, and I'm going to get yelled at for forgetting this. But there was 1 or 2 players that actually stacked GP5s on their Uri in mid. They went Philosopher's Stone, Heart of Gold, and then KG's lucky pick. And just maxed out the gold as much as possible because the base numbers and the true damage on that Orb of Deception are so good.
Yeah, I mean, they're not terrible items for Ari, actually, because obviously the more gold that you get, the higher items you can get earlier on. In fact, we are going to have some action at bot lane here. Corki could be going down. Ignite's ticking, and it is going to finish him off there from Slapper. He, in turn, is going to get dropped from Nunu, so it's going to be a battle of the supports. Ghosty Pepper trying to run his way across back towards his blues. Going to flash through as he sees Maluno, but Maluno will follow suit with a flash of his own. But with that Blood Boil, of course, will give Nunu the upper hand with the movement speed, and he will be able to pull himself back to spawn.
Really, really well played. Maluno now doesn't know just how close Diamond Prox is. Look at the setup. They're trying to pick up a gank onto Alexich. Alexich is going to run straight into Anguish. Anguish has now moved forward. There's that Grandmaster's ultimate of his activated. Ignite plus a couple of auto attacks might be enough. The stun's under the tower. And Alexich just says, thank you very much. I will gladly take that kill. Slicing Maelstrom, Mark of the Storm, just too strong.
Man, I could feel Anguish's face bomb from here. We're going to have more action though, with now Diamond Prox is coming under the gun from both Ari and also you are going to have the Nautilus trying to bat his way across. Extinct could be going down here, absolutely no help whatsoever. He's going to flash through the wall. The Charm very nearly landing onto Diamond Prox, but he's going to be able to pull himself back. And we could actually see nobody going down in this exchange. Diamond Prox is in a really precarious position. Maluno has found him out, lands the dredge line. Is it going to be enough though to take Diamond Prox down? Answer looks like a no. And in amongst all that, Ari will be getting dropped from Irelia, so Darian does pick that one up.
Wow, wow, wow. Huge individual plays. I was watching Diamond Prox the entire time, just until that last second when his exoskeleton came up, and I thought he could get away. Managed to pick up the kill in the middle lane, and Moscow 5 with the huge plays, pulling themselves 1,500 gold ahead.
Incredible stuff, man. I mean, I actually wasn't watching the fight between Irelia and Ari there. I was just completely trained onto the two junglers. Speaking of which, Dragon is being taken here from Moscow 5. All 5 players will be congregating to finish off this 1k global goal. They're going to pick it up with ease. Nobody from Curse.EU did even try to come up there. No ward coverage either. So that goal difference is going to get slightly higher in Moscow 5's favor. And
look at the ward coverage. You know, I've just put the vision on the map on behalf of Curse.EU. You can see they've got no vision of the dragons. They've got no vision of the river. And you compare that to Moscow 5's, and they've got full dragon ward control. You know, is anybody wearing an Oracles? I thought I seen an Oracles, but I may have been dreaming. So it doesn't look like there's an Oracles on the map just yet. But great ward coverage, great control and play from Moscow 5. Pick up a couple of kills, pick up a map objective, and they find themselves 2k gold ahead at 14 minutes. If they keep playing this way individually, it's going to be very hard for Curse to pull it back, because the coordination and the control is just on another level.
And the scary thing right now from Curse.EU is that look who has 201, Darian on Irelia, I should say. She is a scary champion, already has Phage and Sheen, so Trinity Force is just around the corner. She does have only 250 gold though in her back pocket, so it's going to take her a little while longer to pick up the Triforce, but either way, 2 kills on her and 1 for everybody else, so really evenly spread for Moscow 5 here.
Take a look at the farm at the moment. 69 CS on Anguish's Jax to the 85 on Darian's Irelia. And you can pretty much accustom that to that huge wave that he lost earlier on. Mid lane, 101 on Extinct's Ari to the 108 on Alexich's Kennen. And I'm going to be hesitant to say this, but I think that's the lowest amount of farm I've ever seen. We do see a counterattack going down onto Darian in that top lane. They were considering diving, but Grandmaster's Might was active instead. Now Maluno, he's walked into a bit of trouble. It does manage to land a stun. Spirit Rush once. Depth Charge goes out. The Charm manages to get dodged by a very good flash. Depth Charge is going to pull him all the way back. Now Impale has been used. Ignite has now been thrown down onto Diamond Prox, but he's going to be able to get away. Wish comes out from Soraka on behalf of Cursed, and nothing coming of that, but Ignite's, ultimates, Depth Charges, everything used. Moscow 5 effectively just walk away.
Yeah, lots of abilities, lots of summoner spells, all burnt there. And in the meantime, at bot lane, Genja does drop to red, so he is going to have to be very cautious against the Graves and Soraka. He's going to be pushing this lane regardless, though. And how is the creep farm actually looking at that bot lane? Currently, you have Graves on 113 and Corki on 107, so very even. Although you have to factor in that Corki currently has 1 kill and 1 assist, and Graves has 2 deaths.
How much does that actually equate to when you look at the gold numbers? Corki 4,500 gold to Graves 4,400, so Really, really interesting when you consider that even though a dragon and the assist is there, it's only about 100 gold. Well, a little bit less than 100. But I suppose the bonus was... Who picked up first blood? No, it was Ari that picked up first blood, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, it's super close. I wouldn't have thought it was going to be that close.
Yeah, it was on... I think Kenan died, didn't he? Alex died.
Yeah.
And I think it was Ari that picked it up, yeah.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting to see. But either way, lots of aggression, lots of ganks coming out. 16 minutes in, we've already got 8 kills. And there was the damage I was looking at. I just flicked to the middle line, and you can see Extinct activates that Foxfire, steps just in range of Alexich, and allows the auto-tracking or auto-targeting of that ability to deal the DPS. And really, really good farming abilities from Extinct, actually, picking up every single one of those 2 creep waves in quite a good-looking fashion, you know? It was an attractive gameplay to watch.
Yeah, the only thing that's really standing out to me so far on Creep Farm is actually Angush, and he has been bullied quite a lot from Darian. You can see like Darian is 11, Angush on 10, Skon has played a big role at top lane, and here comes Maluno. He does have an Oracle, there was a ward in the Tribush which he has alleviated from the problem, and now Darian is going to be going on towards Jax, firing off the Transcendent Blade. Look at that damage! Incredible stuff from Darian, but needs to be careful because Nautilus is moving his way up Quickshot.
Now we're going to see whether or not this gank is going to be successful, because Darian has a tower to get to, has flash available. Unfortunately, not having those Transcendent Blades means the lifesteal isn't there. Now he's committed to the fight. There goes the Dredge line, so nicely baited. Grandmaster's Might has now been activated, as well as the Ignite. Very nice depth charge. Does manage to knock Darian up in the background, but that flash was more than enough to get him to safety. There goes the Equilibrium Strike. It felt a tad early. Wish has now been blown before the Dredge line can even land. The damage from that Heaton style and Blade Surge on Irelia is just too much to handle. And another kill the way of Moscow 5.
Yep. At the same time, Extinct going to Alex there. As you're speaking about damage, the amount of pain that Extinct put on Alex in just a split second was incredible. Went down to half health. So scary stuff there.
And pressure on the bottom lane now. They've committed to this one. The Ice Blast has landed. Applies such a huge slow. Absolute Zero is going to pop. I don't think that dealt any damage to Zinnik, though. It was, of course, cancelled compliments of the Infuse, and that was just textbook aggressive play. So nicely done in that bottom lane from Genji and Gosu Pepper.
I said this in the Champion Select. I know how much Genji loves to play Corki, and he's so strong with him. So it doesn't surprise me in the least to see that he is being fairly dominant at that bot lane at the moment.
Yeah, huge stomach. Back into the game at the moment, and I'm reading a quick message. Zinnik versus Gosu Pepper rematch. Apparently that was an all-random all-bot game in which D-Man feels very bad about losing. So, I'm going to take a look at the pressure on this bottom lane. Now, Genja, with that Phage and that Zeal, putting a lot of damage down. The Rocket Barrage coming out. No more mana, though. Dredgeline is going to be available for Maluno to pull himself to safety. And just not having the mana on Genja means no Phosphorus Bombs or Missile Barrage is able to secure the kill. Luckily, Maluno gets away to safety.
Yeah, he will be going for the Trinity Force, but he didn't actually get the Sheen. He went for Zeal and Phage first, so perhaps with the Sheen would have been able to finish off that kill. Either way, Dragon has respawned, and Moscow 5 are going to be just jumping upon that. Trying to pick this one up. They are going to have some pressure, though, being applied from Curse from the south side. Is it going to be enough to actually falter, though? The answer doesn't seem to be likely. Darian taking a lot of damage, has been pushed back with the Dredge line. All hell breaks loose right now. Looks like Maluno is going to stay alive just a couple seconds longer. Now Extinct could be going down as a couple flashes have been burnt from Gosu Pepper. Here comes Jax with the counter-strike on towards Diamond Prox. Diamond Prox going to pull himself back. Ari's going to pick up one. Irelia back onto Jax again. Irelia then getting dropped herself. All hell breaks loose in this team fight. And Play just dropping left, right, and center. Graves has picked up a double. And now Genja and Diamond are forced to run away with their tail between their legs. They cannot contest. And Ari and Soraka pushing together in unison.
Huge fight. Of course, Moscow 5, they managed to pick up the Dragon in exchange for that additional death. But I think, you know, when you consider it's a 3-for-2 exchange and you pick up Drake, that's a pretty fair, pretty fair trade if you think about it that way.
Yeah, it's not too bad actually. I think both teams aren't going to be holding their heads, too low. Both going to be thinking, okay, well, it could have gone better, but it could have gone a hell of a lot worse. So 12-5 is the scoreline, 29.2k to 26.1, and it is still anybody's game here with just the one tower being taken from Curse.
And there is something that we need to point out. I only just looked at the items right now. Compare Darian's items. Ninja Tabi, Trinity Force, Longsword, and the Null Magic Mantle in comparison to triple Doran's Blades, a Ruby Crystal, and the Ninja Tabi. Gold difference, 4,500 to 6,900 gold. That is an immense difference between them. And of course, because Diamond Prox he managed to survive. He actually saved his Oracle's Elixir in that fight. So that's a huge, huge bonus for Moscow 5.
Definitely, and Irelia, she is just all kinds of scary, and the farm that she's getting, the items that she's building this early into the game, I can't see how they're going to be able to repel this attack if she has good positioning. Having said that though, here comes Ari landing the charm, Jax jumping over with the counter strike, depth charge has been used, and actually Diamond Prox flashes away with depth charge and it knocks Darian in the air. He's not really too happy about that one, but either way, he does seem to be able to escape. Beautiful ultimate coming up from Kennen, getting a couple stuns that could have bought Diamond Prox the time he needed to escape. And it looks like Quick Shot, somehow, everybody's going to get away unscathed. Wow.
That ultimate that Alex had put down through the Baron wall just to apply the stun. That's all it was. It was a utility stun to save Diamond Prox. And now Darian's committed to the fight. Blade Surge, he flashes forward to apply the very last auto attack. Darian dueling Ari. Ari not even able to get away. Of course, he'd noticed that the Spirit Rush was used in the river. And Darian just completely takes advantage of the lack of mobility, takes advantage of the inability to run away, and picks up a very easy kill in that mid lane.
It's just, as I said before, Irelia is a scary, scary woman, and you don't want to get her fed. And right now, she's just picked up the Hex Drinker, so she's going to be even more difficult for Ari, for Extinct to actually do any damage to. And I would expect to see that going into the Maw of Malmortius, which is going to be even more scary. How do you take Irelia down here quick?
Anguish has now left the game. I don't know if it'll probably be a disconnect at this stage of the game. Let's have a look at the chat and see if anybody's saying anything about that. I have pulled it up for a second. The gold difference is now extended to 6,000 gold, so it's growing rapidly. That's a 4,000 increase of where we were 10 minutes ago. And the individual plays from Moscow 5 are literally getting them out of being, they were overextended there. Diamond Prox was caught out. He ate a charm to the face. He was about to get counterattack stunned from Jax. And with a great flash, with a great exoskeleton run, and even better slicing mails from Alexic, gets away with his life. It's just individual players that are bringing them map objectives and game control right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking about Alex, he had to be going on to XT. Big damage being exchanged there. Ari has to run away. Ignite has been taking flash there from Alex, but that was the wrong move, flashing into 3-4 players, in fact. And Graves will be picking that one up. And I bet Alex is like, oh dear, what have I done? Oh, I'm dead.
Now, the thing that's interesting there is just how quickly Extinct went down. Look at the items on Extinct at the moment. He's sitting with the Abyssal Scepter. And, of course, that magic resist you would have assumed given a little bit more survivability. Genja just going 1v2 with absolutely no problems. Eats a couple of crits to the face from Slepa's Graves. The depth charge knocks him up. Manages to dodge the auto attack, but gets dredgelined through the wall. That holds him in place just long enough to Slepa to pick up that final hit. And could we see a comeback on our hands, Metuz? What do you think about that?
Both teams, huge on talent, huge caliber. It's possible. And have a quick look. Graves has picked himself up 5 kills and an Infinity Edge, so he's doing a lot of damage, has just added Zeal to that on top of everything else, so he's going to be very scary. It's just a case of whether Curse.EU can protect him, do that meat shield as I said before, because you do have Skarner on Moscow 5, and if Skarner can land his Impale onto Graves, it doesn't matter how fed he is, doesn't matter how many items he has, he's going to go down quickly.
Yeah, I have also just found out that my overlays have been wrong the entire game. I have had the wrong logo on the right-hand side, so I apologize to everybody about that one. It should be fixed now. Yes, and it is fixed. And this is what Curse need to keep doing. They picked up that double kill. It was an over-aggression from Alexic that got them the first kill, and there's some really good positioning. They managed to pick up the kill onto Genja in their bottom lane. But they need to keep it up. They need to keep putting this pressure down, pick up as many kills as they can, and ideally pick up a couple of turrets in the next dragon. Because if they can survive longer, They can allow Jax to bring himself back into this game. He's only got a Phage built at the 26-minute mark. And of course, Jax does scale very, very hard. It's going to come down to positioning and who engages who more effectively once they eventually get Anguish back into this game, you know. They have the player skill, they have the ability to win team fights, but the positioning has just been a little bit out of it right now. Or up till this point.
It has. Now, Moscow 5 have picked 3 out of 3 dragons up there, and 2 of which Curse have absolutely not reacted to. So it just goes to show that Moscow 5 are on the money when it comes to those dragon timers. They have picked up 2 Trinity Forces as well, and a Zeke's Herald.
So we're taking Zeke's Herald at the moment. That is, of course, the attack speed and lifesteal itemization, and it makes sense. Skarner, Kennen, Corki, Aurelia, they all stack off that item. And I'm a big fan. I like seeing it. I like seeing the those aura items. Is there an Aegis at the moment? No, very close to being finished. So Diamond Prox will pick up that Aegis of the Legion very shortly and just keep giving their team an even stronger advantage.
Yep, some people might be wondering, oh, well, why wouldn't the support get the Aegis of the Legion? Well, I mean, you know, Skarner is the kind of character that is in the grill. He's in the face of the opposition. He simply has to be. He's designed to be that kind of player. So it makes sense for Diamond to pick up the Aegis of the Legion to really charge in there with the rest of his team. And you are going to, therefore, have Nunu being able to finish off that quick Zeke's Herald, which is so good for Corki and Aurelia going into this game.
And I stand to be corrected on this one. Maybe somebody can help me out on chat. Oh, I see chat has died. If I recall correctly, the Aegis of the Legion gives each champion about 700 odd gold worth of stats, which is huge. And now we see Curse playing very, very aggressively here. They managed to find people out of place in the middle lane, so they pushed down, managed to pick up one tower very easily, realized that everybody else was still missing from Moscow 5, and picked up a second tower even easier, and all it cost them was 1 depth charge ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, they are managing to push these towers down. It's currently at 3-3. Gold difference about 5.8k in Moscow 5's favour, but that's not necessarily a massive gaping difference. It is definitely doable for Curse to pull themselves back into this one. Graves is slowly but surely getting his items and his farm up. Could be having a 5v5 team fight kicking off here. They're going to be the case. Jax has jumped in, slicing Maelstrom used from, and a big damage here. Zony's Hourglass has been used in amongst all of that. Will Nunu be going down from the Ignite? Looks likely, yes he will. So we are going to have 4 kills coming out. They make that 5 in fact. 3 deaths from Curse. Double kill for Corki. Could be picking up the next kill onto Zinnek, who's forced to flash away with Soraka just to save his skin. So beautiful play once again from Moscow 5, just as we were talking about Curse potentially pulling themselves back in this game. They get completely crushed in that team fight.
The thing that's interesting about that, the very beginning of the game, Diamond Prox moved in, and you could see it was very, very clear that Moscow 5 knew that Curse were in and around the Blue Bush area. They didn't really have wards or vision to see it, but you know, the game sense was tingling. These pro players pulled a little bit of Spider-Man and knew something was up. And as Diamond Prox moved in there, he didn't even manage to get his Impale off. Take a look, the cooldown is still available. He got blown up before the fight even began. After Diamond Prox got blown up, the remainder of the Moscow 5 team jumped in there. Darian, Alexich with the slicing Maelstrom. We are going to see Maluno possibly going down in his bottom lane. Dredgeline's going to hold him in place just as Genja keeps putting the DPS down. With that blue buff, the missiles, and phosphorus, it may have been enough to actually pick up the kill. My directed camera goes schizophrenic. But the thing that was interesting, Diamond Prox removed entirely before the fight began, you know, really. And Moscow 5 still, with 4 versus 5, managed to pick up the remainder of the kills because, of course, Curse blew everything on Diamond Prox. They used all their abilities, the buckshot, the collateral damage, I think the depth charge even landed on him as well, if I recall correctly. So 4v5 coming out in a 2-for-3 exchange. Don't mind doing that any day of the week.
And also, just a correction for me to make there. I said Zony's Hourglass was popped. I meant to say Deathfire Grass, so that was my bad. Speaking of Zony's Hourglass, Kennen has just picked himself up one. So he has Zony's Hourglass, the Abyssal Scepter, and also the Hextech Revolver. So nice items coming out there. So yeah, I mean, both teams are still going to be just kind of doing this Baron dance. And lots of wards are being planted down, but nobody committing just yet.
And look at the damage onto Genja. He manages to flash away from that dredge line. Was almost able to 1v1 Extinct with, again, relative ease. Took a lot of damage in return, but great flash there. Puts him out of safety from that dredge line and potential death. And now you see the gold graph. We're still sitting at 6,000 gold. So Moscow 5 still have the lead, but they no longer lead in towers. In addition, At 30 minutes, 6,000 gold is really, really different to what it is at 20 minutes. And the longer this game goes, the more powerful Anguish's Jax is going to become. And the only question is going to be, can that, Jax compare to Darian's Irelia, who is so far ahead right now?
Well, one of the kind of strengths of Jax is he doesn't need to have full item build to be scary. So that's one thing that Anguish is going to take a bit of comfort in knowing, that he just needs to finish off a Trinity Force, maybe go towards that Hextech Gunblade, not sure what his thought process is going to be, and he can start to output a lot of DPS. He can be very tanky and very, very scary. So the longer they allow Anguish to pull his way back in, they are going to be feeling pretty good. We could have a Baron fight kicking off here, as Curse are going to be opening this one up. They do have all their players on Baron, but here comes Moscow 5. Corki is out of position. We are going to have the Reverie popped off just to pull back. There's going to be a team engage going off here. Kenner will pop off the ultimate. You are going to have Darren having to run away. You are going to feel my sting coming out from Skarner. 2 kills taken down. Make that 3 for Moscow 5 without retort, even though Irelia and both Kennen are on low health. This could be Slepper getting dropped right now, as Gosu Pepper is right behind him. Corki comes in for his 3rd or 4th kill of the team fight, and we are going to have Baron getting taken from Moscow 5. Such a strong team fight.
And once again, just the plays, the focus from Moscow 5, it just seems to be a little bit more coordination and a little bit more, slightly more effective positioning. They moved in there. Darian was technically completely out of position. He was behind enemy lines and wasn't even worried. Triforce, Hexdrinker, and the Giant's Belt, as well as the Glacial Shroud completed, was more than happy to say, you know what, I know they're not going to focus me, so I can afford to stay here. I can afford to chill in the back line and just commit to the fight when I want to.
Well, we said before, didn't we, that positioning was going to play a critical, crucial factor in this game. Moscow 5 in that team fight just had it all theirs. I mean, Corki, one of the good points about him being slightly out of the team fight as it started is that when he joined late in there, a lot of those abilities and ultimates had already been used, so he could pick up a lot of the kind of scraps at the end. And that kind of worked in his favor. So 21 for 9, they picked up Baron, looking incredibly strong on top of everything else.
21-9 is the kill score, 52,000 gold to 42,000 gold. Itemization, Corki with his Trinity Force completed and the Infinity Edge. In comparison to his counterpart, Infinity Edge and Phantom Dancer. Gold difference of nearly 1,700 gold, so a BF sword difference between the two of them right now. But the big story is Anguish in the top lane, 7,000 gold to Darian's top lane of 11,500. Massive difference.
He still hasn't finished the big item off. He still hasn't finished off the Trinity Force. He has 1,160 gold to spend, which isn't going to finish off his Trinity Force just yet. And on Irelia, you're going to have the Triforce, Hexdrinker, Giant's Belt, Glacial Shroud, and a Ruby Crystal. She's just so far ahead right now.
Now, it does look like it's Moscow 5's game to lose right now. Guardian Angel picked up on Genja as well, just as I'd looked at those items. And I think that was a Guardian's Angel outright. It does look like Moscow 5 want to just tank this turret. Diamond Procs eating tower hits all day long. Now they've, swapped the focus over to Darian. Darian, even in amongst tanking the tower and taking it out, has the sense to use that Blade Surge and pick up some creep kills under the tower. And it's just amazing play from Moscow 5. There's not a lot more to say. Charm does manage to land onto Genja, though. Unfortunately, with that Guardian's Angel, they're going to need to kill him twice. Now they've committed absolute zero in slicing Maelstrom. Their attention's been turned. Anguish is going to be the first one to pull. They haven't even managed to pock the Guardian's Angel on Genja. Next one is going to go down in the background. Soraka's gone down in the background. Graves, triple kill. Quadra kill for Genja. And great play from Moscow 5. Just running away with it. I mean, look at the damage. They've got 2/3 of the hit points on Genja, half the hit points on Diamond Procs, and nothing on anybody else. Moscow 5 with a commanding performance in game number 1.
Exactly. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. Commanding performance indeed. And it's difficult to see how you can stop Genja on Corki. He's picked up a triple kill, he's just got himself a quadra kill. In those team fights, his positioning never falters. He said earlier, Moscow 5, it was their game to lose, to throw away. Moscow 5 are the masters of actually finishing off games, and we've seen that once again here against Curse.EU.
So great play. Moscow 5 knock Curse.EU out of today's League of Champions event. It means Curse, unfortunately, are going home. This is a best of one game. Moscow 5 are going to make it through to the next round. We'll have to see who they're going to be facing off. But before we get to the semi-final, we do have another quarterfinal game to play, or another sort of round one game to play. I love to look at the damage graphs before we close this out. So have a look over at your damage graphs, and you can just see how much more DPS each of their champions was doing in total, you know. So much more significant and so much higher. So Metuz, I'm going to throw up a very quick advert break, and we can arrange the lobby for game number 2. When we are back, it'll be the next round of today's MMO Champions.
Alrighty.